Oh yeah, well, first of all, like how to deal with the wood burning oven, how to control the fire and the temperatures in the oven, but also on the other hand, how to match it with what you're baking. So we're using a falling temperature basically. We're making pizza first at a very high temperature, then the whole wood gets swept out, and then we'll make 2-3 different products after that that we match basically to the temperature. So the challenging part on a workshop for 14 people is to have everyone, all the breads ready at the right time. So I hopefully can teach them a little bit how you can control that with the fridge or different amounts of yeast or stuff like that. It's interesting.
What do you think is the most challenging part of working with a wood-fired oven?
It's exactly that, the matching the temperature to what you want to bake at the same time. That your bread is proofed when you have the right temperature. So in the summer you have to always factor in that the oven is going to turn or cool down a lot slower than in the winter. So for example, I've reduced the yeast in one of my breads as opposed to the winter where I know I need a certain amount, but I cut it almost by 50% knowing it's 25 degrees today and it's going to take that much longer. So I have a bit more time in the end to put it in. It'll still turn out just the same, but you know.
How did you get this partnership with the Montgomery Inn? Tell me a
Yeah,
little
good
bit
question.
about
Good question. I was working at Whole Foods still, and I wasn't working at George Brown yet, and I was actually kind of interested in wood burning oven itself. And a friend of mine who owns a bakery close to the Montgomery Inn told me that they were asking her for some advice or help with recipe development, but she didn't have any time. She's like, well, why don't you go and check it out sometime? So I went, and I met the coordinator, and it was really wonderful people here. They basically bake once a week for the farmers market, all the volunteers, and they sell the bread and they take care of the oven. So I did a training for them, for their volunteers. So they had some issues with their bread. It was always very dense. So, and then I've done 1 or 2 private workshops basically with some people that I knew. And then I pitched it to my boss. I thought there would be a great partnership to connect those two and do off-site events for George Brown College because it's very unique, right? And it's new. We're doing everything with the whole grain and the sourdough natural, and so it fits very much into what's going on right now. And there's such wonderful people here, and I love the building from 1850, right? I hope you're gonna go on the tour too. It's really cool.
And one last question, I guess. Where do you see the trends of bread going in the future?
It's definitely going to be, I think it's going to be yeast-free baking and wheat-free. Not necessarily gluten-free. I think it's always going to have its place. But I think it's going to die down a little bit once people realize that you can actually, that many people can eat like breads that are made from 100% spelt flour, for example, 100% rye flour breads without added yeast, and you can still get a very decent, very tasty loaf like this. Gluten-free bread it's a lot trickier, in my opinion. I think if you're not actually celiac disease, you should stay away from it, because I've done a lot of gluten-free stuff too, and if I look at the formulas, it's a lot of starch. It's a lot of cornstarch, and I personally try to stay away from cornstarch. It's not a good thing, or any starch.
Not good from a health perspective,
not
or flavor?
Yeah, flavor too. It's hard to get a good flavor.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good things, but all I'm saying is there's no benefits, I think, for you to eat gluten-free if you are not celiac disease. I don't think it could be the opposite. That's just my own opinion. I think you should, if you're like sensitive to wheat, or you have some reaction, you should try 100% spelt bread. It's the original wheat basically, and a lot of people can digest it a lot better, and it's much lower on gluten. It still contains gluten. But that's what we were specialized in Germany, and I've been saying that that it's not really necessarily gluten-free, it's a lot of people are sensitive to the commercial wheat and they don't realize once they switch or to even if you switch to like a heritage grain like red 5 wheat or something like that, that might and the natural fermentation. I try to minimize the amount of yeast in the workshop, but if I can totally get rid of it, it ferments the stuff differently, so people can often actually tolerate it. Because what commercial yeast does, it will hinder the body from absorbing or like using the vitamins properly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have yeast, better. The less yeast, the better, basically.
Okay.